What's up, you guys? It's Lindsay here, and we are back. It is Dancing with the Stars season 31? I should know that. Yeah, it's season 31. And I'm obviously not doing it this season. I've explained my reasons why. If you don't know, go check out my Instagram or my TikTok. But it has been really fun the past 2 weeks to just be a fan, watch the show. I have so many thoughts, so many opinions. I know the season that, sorry, I'm out of breath because I just filmed a workout, so we're here. Let me give you some reference. This is a studio that I've been filming at because, wow, I'm all over the place. Okay, so I have my workout program, the Movement Club, and I typically, before we started doing construction on our basement, I would film in our basement because we had kind of like a little gym area that I turned into a filming studio, but they've been doing construction on that for the past like 8-9 months. So I've been coming to this studio to film all my workouts, but as soon as our basement's done, I will be filming everything down there, which will be really fun. It's gonna look so good. But yeah, so I just finished filming a workout. If you're looking for a good workout program to join, go to movementclub.com. Come join me. Such a fun program. I've had it now for over a year and a half. There's over 150 workouts on the platform, and I add a new one every single week. So definitely go check it out. It's super fun. There's really something for everybody. We have like as short as 5 to 10 minute workouts all the way up to 30-minute workouts. We have some pregnancy friendly workouts in there, just kind of everything. So definitely go check it out if you haven't. But anyways, that's why I'm here. That's why I'm out of breath. I'm a little sweaty, but we're gonna talk about Dancing with the Stars because this is the only time I can fit it in. While I was pregnant with Sage, I wasn't on the show obviously, and I did a recap every single week, and it was super fun. But I'm going to definitely try to do that. I cannot guarantee it's going to happen every week, only because it's kind of hard. I have to film, make sure I can film every Tuesday morning, and then it's got to get edited that same day, and it's just a lot. So I don't want to like give false hope. I'm going to try to do every single week. I promise I'll do the weeks that I'm able to, and if I can't make it happen, I'm really sorry. I'll try to touch on it next week. So I know I missed the premiere. I honestly didn't even like think that far in advance, like, oh, I should do some recaps, so I didn't even think about it. But I do want to do one this week because I have the time and I think it'd be fun. So last week was so great. The premiere was awesome. I'm not really going to really touch much on that because I just feel like the premiere is all about just like getting to know the celebs, the partnerships, seeing where they start out with their abilities so you go, okay, they're either going to improve or they're not, or yeah. It was so fun. Standouts for me, I will tell you some standouts for me the first week. I think the obvious standouts were the people who are at the top of the leaderboard. You've got Charli D'Amelio. She really surprised me. Not that I didn't think she would be good. Like, I knew she was going to be good. She's a dancer. But sometimes when you have those expectations, they kind of get let down, if that makes sense. And she didn't at all. Like, she exceeded it, which I was really happy about. She was amazing. So happy Mark's back. His choreography is just insane, and I'm so glad he's got a partner that can do all of the cool things that he puts together, which we love to see. So definitely Charli. Wayne and Whitney were amazing. Wayne is just one of those people that has so much charisma and like personality when he dances. So I know that with every style they have, he's going to bring his own flair to it, which the judges kind of were like, be careful, but I'm like, no, don't be careful. Do your thing. Like, the show is about showing who you are, and so I love to see it because he also was still incredible at the actual technique of the dance they were doing. So he was great. Gabby and Val. Gabby is one of my favorites. I'm a huge Bachelorette fan, so it was like I was really excited to watch her dance, and I kind of did have high expectations for her as well. I know she was a cheerleader, which is different, but it's still like you've got coordination, you've learned choreography before, so I did kind of have high expectations, and again, she exceeded them. She was great. She brought so much personality to the dance, which was actually really, really fun, and I really liked her. And then, of course, Selma was incredible. Like, so just mind blown and in awe of her. She was just amazing, and it's so cool to see somebody. It just is, it makes me so happy because I know how much joy it brings that she can go and dance and do things that I'm sure she didn't know her body could do. And that's really special. Like that's life changing right there. So very, very special to watch her. Okay, anyways, let's go ahead and get into this last week. So this was Elvis Night. I'm not gonna lie, I was a little bit like, ugh. Sometimes the themed nights I don't love as much because it feels like everything is too similar, if that makes sense. Like, I just was a little bit worried. I'm like, are we gonna get sick of hearing Elvis all night? Is everything gonna look like it's the same dance? Is everything gonna be the same style? But I was so pleasantly surprised. I think that it was like the most well-rounded show. We had so many different styles, we had different themes, and like, although it was all based around Elvis, I feel like it really captured like a very diverse audience when it comes to dancing, if that makes sense. Like, it wasn't just the same dances over and over, the same looking costumes, the same like theme. It was really like well-rounded. Loved it. So that first off the bat, I was like, okay, good, pleasantly surprised on that one. I don't have scores, if I'm being honest, and also I'm gonna have to pull up my phone so I stay on track with who went first, but I didn't keep notes of the scores. But I will say, night one, I had some opinions about scores. I feel like they were like overly complimentary with scores to some people and then really lowballed a couple people. Even though like I agreed, I'm like their dances weren't amazing, it just felt like very like all over the place. Whereas last night, I do feel like the scores were pretty clear representation of how the dance went. Like there maybe was only a couple where I'm like, oh, I maybe would have given that like 1 point more, or maybe 1 point less. But it wasn't as like, I wasn't as frustrated by the scores last night. I feel like they were pretty fair. And a lot more fair than week one. I feel like week one was just kind of like, whoa, what is happening? Okay, I'm on the Dancing with the Stars Instagram because we're gonna pull up who went first. Why am I out of breath? Okay, sorry, let me just find it. Oh yes, duh, okay. So Jessie and Alan went first. First of all, we have to talk about her son. That was the cutest thing ever. It made me tear up seeing him in his Elvis costume, just like so happy for his mom. Seeing them hug after, like that is just so special. Like it's just a memory that Jessie will never forget, her son will never forget, and also they have it on TV, so it's like they'll always be able to go cherish that, remember that. I love that so much. I thought Jessie did so much better this week. I feel like she really applied the technique and really like tried her best to do what was being asked of her. I feel like week one with her cha-cha, it was so fun. She brought so much like fire and like sassiness to it, but I do think there was a little bit of lack in like the actual integrity of the technique. But last night I could see her really trying. Now, it wasn't perfect by any means. Like there's definitely still a lot of work, but what I like to see is like the effort and knowing that like they're aware of what they're supposed to be doing, and even if they don't nail it, it's like they're aware of it, which means they're learning and getting better. And as the weeks go on, you'll see that like muscle memory is going to be a lot easier for them. They'll be able to be told something by their pro, and it'll be easier for their body to actually execute it instead of just thinking it and not being able to get there. So I know there's a lot of potential with her. I think the biggest thing was it just feels a little bit, it's not very smoothed out. They did a foxtrot, if I'm correct. Yeah, a foxtrot. And it wasn't very smoothed out. It was kind of jumpy, hoppy. There was a ton of like up and down with her head. Whereas in the foxtrot, you can see that rise and fall, but you don't want to see any sporadic movements. So that's where I feel like she can work, and that really comes from being able to work through your legs, working through your plie, bending and straightening, but not just like straight bend, straight bend. It's like all about finding that rhythm and flow and like really being connected to the floor. As dancers, something that we really have to be aware of is like how we transfer and distribute our weight on the floor. That's going to determine whether or not we look hoppy or if we look super smooth, and being able to control that is something that takes years of work. So it's hard, but I did see her anticipating it and trying to do that, so I think she'll just get better and better with each week. Like I said, I don't remember their scores, but I wasn't mad about them. So whatever they were, I'm sure they were pretty good. Okay, next up was Jordan and Brandon. I loved Jordan the first week. She brought so much like charisma. She really, really performed the heck out of her dance, which is hard to do on week one. And honestly, like I actually was talking to Brandon and I'm like, you just never know. Like we know she's a performer. That's something she's done her whole life, but not while dancing. So it's a very different thing. Like, you just don't know how they're gonna react to that first night. And I remember seeing her and texting her and be like, dude, you've got a performer. Like, that's amazing, because that's something that you can't really teach. It's really hard to teach somebody to be confident and express themselves while doing something that they've never done before. So very impressed with her week 1. Last night, I thought she brought that same performance level. Unfortunately, she did mess up a couple steps, and that is so freaking hard, because quick step is one of the hardest and worst dances to miss a step on, because you're in frame. If you miss one step, it's kind of like game over, to be honest. Like, it's really, really hard to get back on. It's not like a cha-cha where you're separated and like your partner can help get you back into it. When you're in frame and you guys are moving, like, it's really impossible. I've had a lot of partners mess up in our frame dances, and it's really so hard, because even as the pro, it's like there's not much you can do to help get them back in until you kind of like separate from the frame and get back into it again. So that just was a bummer, because I knew that, like, I think that if she hadn't missed that step, it could have been such a great performance for her, because I think she had the technique down. I feel like she had the vibe of the quick step as well. Like, she was kind of like really into that with all the Lindy hop and the Charleston parts in the beginning. But yes, unfortunately I think she just started on the wrong foot, and then it just was kind of hard to get back on, but I get it. But I commend her for not like full panic, because that can happen. I commend her for still performing, smiling, and then once she got back into it, it was like nothing ever happened. So very good right there. That's a sign of a true performer. But yeah, they were great. Again, I think their scores were awesome. I was really actually happy, because I feel like the judges could have been a lot harder on her about the mess ups, but I feel like they gave her a lot of grace, which I love to see. Like, I love to see that. We love to see the judges being kind and understanding that sometimes things just happen. I wish they were like that always, but they're not always. So when you get it, you're like, I'll take it. Thank you very much. Next up, we had Sam and Cheryl. I love them so much. I feel like, here's the thing. Week 1, I see the package, I'm like, ooh, like, I don't know how this is gonna go. Like, it was very clear he had 0 dance experience. It was very clear that, like, this was very foreign to him, but then he came out there and he was a star. Like, he smiles and lights up the whole room. He performs from start to finish. And even though, like, the dance isn't perfect, I feel very at ease while watching him, which is hard to do when you're watching somebody who's doing something they've never done before. But he makes me feel at ease. Like, I'm like, I know it's not perfect, but I just feel good watching him. So I love that. Last night they had what did they have? Viennese Waltz, and it was so beautiful. Again, I was like watching the package. I feel like you could tell he was getting frustrated, and I'm like, ooh, okay, this could be really bad. And he came out there and he was amazing. He was so beautiful. Again, he brought that same just like easy, comforting smile through his whole performance, and it was so fun to watch. So loved it so much. I mean, honestly, like, I know the technique really wasn't there, but I felt good watching. So I know he'll get better. I know he's going to continue to come out and just like work and do his best, but I really like watching him. He's really fun. He has the best smile. Okay, next up was Shangela and Gleb. They are so fun to watch. I remember the first night with their week 1 dance, I was like screaming at the TV. I was just like, yes, like, it made me so happy. They are so fun to watch. I feel like Shangela really, really knows how to dive into character, which I think we all like would expect that from her. But again, it's so different when you're having to do that while doing something you've never done before. And I just am so proud of both of them. I just feel like it's been such a fun couple to watch already, and it's only week 2, so I cannot wait to see what they do together. Last night was, I believe, quick step. Yes, quick step. And quick step hard. Again, there's not as much freedom, which Gleb kind of explained in the package. Like, Shangela, I feel like week 1 could really just like do her thing and be a little bit more independent and on her own and confident. But in the quick step, you have to be in frame. And the frame wasn't incredible. I think there's a lot of work to have like done there. But with that being said, like, for never doing the quick step before, I was extremely impressed. All the footwork was there, the steps were there. I think the frame could be improved a little bit, but again, it wasn't also bad. I think I just have high expectations because I know that they can do so well this season. So I cannot wait to see what they do. They were amazing, so fun, loved the little car theme. It was just so cute. Okay, next up we have Teresa and Pasha. I'm really proud of Teresa. I feel like, first of all, the fact that there was an elimination on night 1 is so frustrating and sad. I get why they had to do it. We have 16 couples this season. They had to start eliminating. Or wait, do we have 15? No, I think we have 16. So I get it. Like, I get why it had to happen, but it's just so hard because week 1 is like the scariest thing for those celebs. And the fact that they have to go out there and do something scary and terrifying, get judged on it, and then possibly go home. So I really commend Teresa for just like bouncing back and being like, you know what, I'm just going to give it my all this week. And she definitely did. She did miss steps, which again is just so hard because let me just put in perspective for you. Like, you do this dance with your partner all week long. Once they finally get it, if you're lucky, you're running it for, I mean, if you're lucky, you get to dance it like 20 to 30 times all the way through, with all the steps in there. And it's like, it's so hard because I've had partners who have never, ever, ever messed up once until the live show. It's like they know the steps. Once they've learned the dance, it's like they're perfect. They get it every single time. They're great in dress rehearsal, and then the live show comes and they miss one step, and it's like, ugh. Because it's so frustrating because you know they can do so much better, and you're frustrated because they put in the work all week long, and then it's like if they mess up on that one performance that matters, they don't get the credit for all the work that they put in. So it's so, so hard, and it's so sad to see. I remember this happened with Matt last season. One of his best dances, like, he was the best at it, most natural. He learned it the fastest, was immediately like doing really good at it, was our tango, and crushed it. Never messed up ever. I was so excited. Like, I was like going into the night, I'm like, this is gonna be our best night. Like, they're gonna be really proud. And then we get into frame and Matt steps on the wrong step, and I was like, no! And both of us were looking at each other like, oh no! Like, it's just the worst feeling because you're like, why? Like, I know this, I can do it. And so it's super frustrating. So first of all, I commend her for bouncing back and then pushing through even after messing up. She really did. She kept a smile on her face, she performed, she pushed through it. She was great. And I know her and Pasha ended up going home, and very sad for them, but I'm very glad that she got to have another week because I think it was really special. She got to dedicate that dance to her dad. So very proud of them. Okay. Next up is Daniel and Brit. I cannot say enough good things about this partnership. I am so blown away by Daniel. I mean, I said it last night on one of my Instagram stories. The musicality that he displayed in this dance last night was actually insane. Like, the musicality that he created with his body and to the beats of the music, the really intricate beats of the music, like, I was so impressed. Those are hard to hit when you're a professional dancer, and he's not a professional dancer, and he can't even hear the music, yet he was still able to execute it so perfectly. And mad props to Brit, because I know that all comes from Brit. That comes from Brit being able to give him those cues for, okay, when I do this, you do this. And that's huge, you guys. That is a whole nother level of having to teach somebody how to dance. You're not just teaching them steps, but you're teaching them how to dance to music that they can't even hear. And I just, like, it was so impressive. Last night was amazing. The first week we saw them do a tango, which they were in frame the whole time. So I feel like we didn't get to see as many of those moments where he was on his own, having to stay with the music. It was so impressive. I could not, like, I'm just so proud of them, so excited to see what they can do. This was one of the scores where I can't remember what they got, but I remember being like, oh, I would have given them like one more point at least. So, but I can't wait to see what they do. They have such a beautiful partnership. Props to both of them for working so well together. It's just amazing. Okay, next up, we had Gabby and Val. I was so excited for this. I was a little bit worried again because I'm like, night one was so good. This could just be kind of like, meh. But amazing. She was absolutely stunning. Like, so lyrical, beautiful, moving through her arms. The only comment I kind of had was I feel like and this is me being so nitpicky because I literally think that she could go on to, like, I think she will be in the finals. So I want her to, like, really, like, dive into everything. And I felt like everything was a little bit placed, meaning like when the arm went out, it was like out and a little bit too perfect. Whereas in some of those slower, elegant dances, you want to see like the artistry a little bit more. You want your fingertips moving and creating a little bit more like of a paintbrush motion, if that makes sense. That was the only thing. But again, that is me being like so nitpicky because I'm like, she's got this. But they were so fun to watch. The ending, ooh, I mean, like I said, I'm a Bachelorette fan, so I was very much in love with that ending. It was great. She looked beautiful. She's so funny. She has such a good personality, and I just like want to be her friend. So there's that. They were great. They got 4 8s. I do remember that. And I thought that was very deserved. Okay, next up we've got Vinny and Coco. I was like rooting so hard for them because I feel like the judges were so mean to him on week 1. Like, so mean. And here's the thing. I get it. Like, they've got to be tough on people. They can't just like they can't sugarcoat things all the time. But I just felt sad because I feel like he tried so hard. Like, sometimes it's frustrating when you know somebody has tried so hard and done the best that they can, and then the judges are kind of like ruthless to them because you're just like, oh, come on, at least they tried. Like, I get it if you're like, there was no effort there, but he really did try. I do agree though that like his salsa wasn't incredible. I think that he was a little stiff. It was a little bit awkward at times, but like, I could see him trying so hard, so I still enjoyed it. And I was just so sad. I just felt like they were a little bit, well, a lot of it. Like, the 4s were just, it was too much. Like, I just was like, if you're gonna get that 4s, then other dances need to get 4s as well. Like, he wasn't great, but I didn't think he was like the worst mover of the night. Anyways, I was just really hoping, I'm like, please make a comeback. Come on, you got this. And he totally did. The quick step was so fun. I loved that he didn't let the comments from night 1 defeat him, because that can happen. Like, that can completely kill a celebrity's confidence and then do like a reverse and make them be like, well, I don't even care. Like, I'm not gonna try. I don't care if they're just gonna be mean, like whatever. But he didn't do that. He said, you know what? Like, let's get better. I'm gonna push through and prove that I can do this. And he did just that. It was so fun. Obviously, it still wasn't perfect. Obviously, it still had its moments, but it was better and it was improvement, and it showed that he's got fire and passion to be better, and we love to see it. Okay. Okay, next up was Charlie and Mark. Lots of expectations here because night 1 was so good. I loved this performance. The choreography was so fun, so interesting. Mark is so good at like catering to the musicality of music. He choreographs to every single beat, which is so fun, so interesting to watch, and Charlie executed it perfectly. Like, truly, I know she did every single thing that was asked of her, and I loved it. She kept the performance level up. The only thing I felt with this quick step is the frame was a little bit, it wasn't as great as I'd like it to be. Now, was it bad by any means? No, but I'm being nitpicky because she is that freaking good. It wasn't a perfect frame. I felt like her chest was a little bit concaved. I think she needs to open up and project a little bit more outwards, and she'll be great. She's gonna have another ballroom dance, and I'm sure she's gonna improve and be better. But apart from that, like, she nailed every single step. She brought the fun to it. I loved it. Okay, next up we have Selma and Sasha. So, first of all, excited to watch them. I was like, okay, they had a slow dance the first week. Now they have a jive. Jive is one of the hardest dances for anybody, and I was so impressed with her. Like, so much energy that she brought to it. I'm sure it was very scary. I'm sure it was very much like, I don't know if my body can handle this, but I'm gonna go for it, and I'm just so proud of her for diving in, for trying her best, for doing a cartwheel in 2 splits. Like, I can't even wrap my brain around that. Just it's so inspiring because you can tell how much she like truly believes in herself, even though it's probably so scary to do that. And I'm so proud of her and Sasha, and I loved this performance. I think there's so much more to Selma that we're gonna see, and it's just gonna every single week blow us away. And I'm so proud of them, and this was such a fun dance. The nuance of like the character that she brought, like, she was a star. She truly was. Okay, next up we have Cheryl and Louie. Oh, their package was the cutest thing ever. Here's the thing. So last week after their dance, Carrie Anne commented and said, I feel like this was too easy for you. I have some thoughts about that. I think that comment is always, it's always pretty frustrating to get. I remember I've gotten it from some of the judges across the years. It wasn't Carrie Anne, or maybe it was. I honestly don't even remember. But I've gotten that comment a couple times. And as a pro, it's extremely frustrating because when you're the pro and you are the one who's working with the celebrity, teaching them how to dance, like, you know their limits, their strengths, their weaknesses better than anyone else. You know how much you can push them, you know how much you can't, you know which choreography steps are too hard for them, which ones are going to be a little bit more easy for them. And you know what's realistic. Like, that is your job. Your job is to think and to know, okay, this is what I believe they can execute best on live television when it's time to perform. So when the judges say that with absolutely no context, it's like, you're not in the room with me. You don't know what she can and can't do. All you see is what we do out here. But how do you know that this isn't like the absolute maximum that this celeb can do? So whenever I hear comments like that from the judges, and I respect that that's their job, is to kind of form their own opinions, but it's so frustrating because you're like, but you don't know if this is too easy, because maybe this is the maximum that they could do, and maybe this one step took them 3 days to conquer, and then you had to make it easier because they couldn't remember it. So it's like, I always get a little frustrated at that, because I think the judges sometimes forget that, like, they don't necessarily know the process. All they get to see is what happens on the floor. So with that being said, going into this next week, I knew they were, from the package it showed, they were trying to ramp things up, make it harder to kind of like cater to what Carrie Anne had said. And it sucks because unfortunately she messed up a lot of her steps. That's not to say that I don't think she could have done it. Like, maybe she nailed it every other time and it was just the live show, but it's sad. And I really though, like, so towards the end when they were in the bottom, I really, really respected Carrie Anne saying, like, I'm gonna save Cheryl because I'm the one who pushed them to do harder steps, and maybe that was too much or whatever. Like, I really respected her for saying that, because that just like was her acknowledging, like, okay, well, maybe it wasn't too easy for you. Maybe what you did last week was like your maximum, because obviously tonight the harder steps, you were able to execute them. So I really respected that she said that, and I totally understand. Like, don't get me wrong, I understand that judges have to form their opinions. They have to just say what they feel. Like, they don't get that context because they're not with us all week, but that doesn't mean that they can't judge off of what they do see. So that kind of happened. I felt really bad for Cheryl, but she handled it so sweet. Like, she's just such a little sweetie, the way she was like, yeah, I messed up. Like, it was so endearing and so sweet, and I get it, it happens. Like, it really, really does. And I know that she's gonna push through, and Louie's a great teacher, and I know that they're just gonna get better and better, and she's super fun to watch. Okay. Next up, I'm running out of time, so I'm gonna have to kind of cruise through, I'm sorry. Okay, next up we have Joe and actually Alexis. So Danny got COVID, craziest thing. Like, the fact that that happened on show day and he had to learn the dance with a new pro is insane. Like, I don't think you understand how hard that is. When you're dancing with, like, us as pros, we basically learn every single cue that we need to give our partner in order for them to execute the dance properly. Whether that's a nudge on the arm, whether that's lifting their elbow at a certain point because you know they're gonna drop it, whether it's giving them a verbal cue because you know that helps them remember what's coming next. And it's just, or how we back lead. Like, there's so many things that we do as pros that help our celebrities execute their dances. So for Joe to have to not be able to do it with Danny, and then for Alexis having to step in and try to replicate exactly what Danny was doing for Joe, it's crazy. So hard, and I commend both of them so much. I really don't think you understand how big of a change that is. I feel like people are just like, oh, well, he just did it with a different person, it's the same thing. No, it's completely different, and he did so good. I was so impressed with the elegant, like, arms that he was doing, the smoothness that he brought, because he's a bigger guy. Sometimes you don't get to see that finesse, and he really brought it. So very proud of them. Alexis looked beautiful, stunning, like, so proud of her too. Such a cool moment that she got to step in and like experience what it's like to be a pro, because I do think one day she should be a pro. So it was very cool to kind of see all of that happen, and really proud of Joe. Okay, next up we have Heidi and Arnold. They were so fun. We switched up a little bit. They had a cha-cha last week, and then they slowed it down this week with a Beanie's Waltz, I believe. Oh, I'm sorry, Foxtrot. So great. She's really fun. I agree completely with what the judges said. I feel like she needs to kind of project a little bit more with her performance and perform a little more outwards instead of so inward. But she's got the facility. She's got like all the things that she needs. So I know that week after week, she'll get more comfortable out there and be able to bring that out more and more. Okay, then we had Trevor and Emma doing a rumba. So here's the thing. Emma Slater is like the queen of rumba. She is known for being the best. All of us, like, well, I'll speak for the girls. Most girl pros do not want to get rumba with their celebrity partner. It is one of the hardest dances to teach a guy who's never danced before. And it's because it's so slow, you really have to fill the time in order to make it interesting. So rumba is something that, like, at least for me, like, if I get it with my celebrity, I'm always like, ooh, okay, this is gonna be a tough week. But like, Emma is a rare breed and she loves rumba. Like, she loves it, and it's because she is so great at putting together such like beautiful, entertaining, and like passionate rumbas. And they were amazing. I was so impressed with Trevor. Like, the transformation from week one being scared, like visibly kind of scared on the floor, and like, you know, just kind of a little bit awkward, not very finessed, to this week was insane. He was so in tune with the dance. He really embodied the character. He really like finessed everything. I was just so impressed. And he really led Emma, which is so cool to see because usually that doesn't happen with very many of the celebs. So very impressed with both of them. I kind of like, I loved watching Trevor week 1, but I was kind of like, okay, like I'm not really sure. But now I'm like, oh, I think he's going to be one to watch. Like I really think he's going to get better and better every single week and probably going to be around for a while. So very exciting. Okay, and then last up we had Wayne and Whitney with their cutest jive. I was so excited for this. Wayne looked amazing as Elvis. Again, they had a jive, and last week the judges were like, be careful that you don't just like get caught up in like adding your own flair to it, that you forget the style, which I didn't really love that comment because I'm like, no, like we love to see it. But I will say he did a great happy medium this week. He did the jive, he executed the technique, he did all the steps that he needed to do, but he still managed to get his own personal flair in there, which we love to see. He's just so fun to watch. Him and Whitney are a great pairing. Whitney's an incredible pro. She knows exactly what to do, and like I feel like she's a perfect pro for Wayne, and I think they're going to go so far because their partnership is so like magnetic. I think they're going to be so fun to watch every single week. They're always going to find a way to make their dances stand out, which is key. And yeah, they were just incredible. I can't wait to watch what they do. Okay, and then I've got to wrap up. I'm sorry. We get to the elimination, which we have Pasha and Teresa and Cheryl and Louie in the bottom. To be honest, so we had Bruno and Derek save Teresa and Pasha. And then we had Carrie Anne save Cheryl, which she said, she's like, I feel kind of like, I can't remember the exact words, but I think she was like, I feel like it's my responsibility since I pushed you to go harder, which I actually really respected. I loved it. But then I was shocked that Len also saved Cheryl. I think that like, if you're looking at it from just a strictly competition dancing standpoint, I think Teresa has more potential to get better and better. And I think she just had kind of like an iffy night. I think Cheryl is maybe a little bit more limited in where she can go. But then again, she brings such a fun flair to the dances. So it's like, I was shocked. I honestly was like, oh, Teresa and Pasha. But then again, they got saved last week. So I don't know. It was fun to see Cheryl stay. Like, it was fun because I feel like it was a little bit against what I kind of thought would have happened. And it'll be fun to give her another chance and see what she can do next week. So, yeah, those are my thoughts. Thank you guys for watching. Like I said, I'll try to do this every week, but I can't guarantee. So bear with me. If I do it, awesome. If I don't hate me. But such a fun show. I'm actually going out to the show next week. I'm going to watch the next Monday show, which means, yeah, I'm actually not going to be able to do this because I'll still be in LA after that. But yeah, I'm very excited to watch it in person. It's going to be so fun to see everybody and just like see the ballroom. I love that we have the audience back. I love Alfonso as a host. Just so many great things that are happening this season. So if you're not watching, you need to watch. And yeah, I'll see you next time I do one of these. Thank you guys for watching, and I'll see you later.